Russia-Ukraine news. Attacks on Eritrean celebrations have taken place in Europe and North America. Asylum seekers are to blame, says the government. Cars on fire, violent confrontations, and the detention of dozens of people. As one of the world's most repressive countries celebrates 30 years of independence, exiles the regime dismisses as asylum scum have attacked festivals held by Eritrea's diaspora in Europe and North America. Refugees from the Horn of Africa state that the violence at festivals in Germany, Sweden, and Canada is a form of protest against their former country's repressive government, which has been called the North Korea of Africa. Some people claim that the government could benefit from festival revenue. Since the country's independence in 1993, hundreds of thousands of people have fled Eritrea, many crossing the deserts of Sudan and North Africa on their way to Europe. Eritrea has been led by President Isaias Afwerki, 77, since it declared independence from Ethiopia after a protracted guerrilla war. No voting has taken place. It's impossible to get unbiased news. Travel visas are essential. Human rights groups and United Nations experts report that many young people are being conscripted without any clear end in sight. The bloodshed at some Eritrean celebrations highlights the deep schism between those who live abroad and those who remain in fear for their families back home. The government of Eritrea has been very critical of those who have fled the country, claiming that the West is attempting to depopulate the country in order to weaken it. Minister of Information Yemane Gebremeskel claimed on Friday that the attacks on the festivals were a part of this plan. In a message shared on social media, he said, "Complicity in attempts to disrupt decades-old Eritrean festivals using foreign thugs reflects abject failure of asylum scum." Subsequently, the minister voiced his displeasure with the distorted portrayal of the community's joyous events. To combat what it sees as the government's hate speech and war propaganda, a separate group called the Brigade Namadu was formed last year, according to Bain Jerezgeher, leader of an organization in the European Eritrean community that seeks regime change in Eritrea. The concept of Namadu is one of sacrifice and readiness for battle. Our movement helped and participated in recent rallies against the so-called Eritrean festival, he said in an email. The new coalition intends to pursue regime change through lawful democracy, information sharing with the international community, and disturbing the situation. He characterized the statements made by the Eritrean foreign minister as usual and laughable. Attacks in Stockholm, Toronto, and the German city of Gießen have been partially attributed to ethnic Tigrayans from northern Ethiopia, according to some Eritreans and state-backed media. There, Ethiopian and Eritrean forces fought side by side against Tigray rebels for 2 years before finally reaching a peace accord in November. Some of the worst atrocities, including gang rapes, were allegedly committed by Eritrean forces. Many Tigrayans have an advocate in the United States, Kassa Hailemariam, who told the Associated Press that it is ridiculous to blame Tigrayans for the global Eritrean movement against the age-long dictator in Asmara, saying, "We are not a part of this movement." At least 22 German police officers were hurt last month when festival goers threw bottles and smoke bombs at them in Gießen. Many people were taken into custody. Swedish media reported this month that at least 52 people were injured when 1,000 anti-Eritrea protesters stormed the festival in Stockholm, setting booze and cars on fire and using rocks and sticks as weapons. According to the police, over 100 people were detained. "We're not having a party here," one protester, Michael Kobrab, told Swedish television that the parents were teaching their children to use hate speech. And after violence at the Eritrean festival in Toronto last weekend, organizers decided to call it off. Some Eritreans continue to circulate videos of peaceful celebrations featuring large crowds of people dancing and waving the national flag in an act of defiance and a call for peace, even as other festivals are held in the country. The government of Eritrea makes no secret of its desire for its diaspora to financially support its domestic endeavors. The Eritrean embassy in Austria released a statement Monday urging Eritreans to shoulder the timely responsibility of participating and contributing to the success of the national development drives. However, citizens living abroad have been criticized for having to prove they have paid a 2% tax on income earned abroad before receiving services like passport renewals. If you leave Eritrea without an exit visa and later decide you want to come back, you'll have to pay a tax and fill out a regret form, according to the Human Rights Report published by the United States Department of State.